Everyone, it's Shannon here for Waffle Flower Crafts. In this video, we are going to create a colorful New Year's Eve card with the new Infinite Triangles Stencil from Waffle Flower Crafts. We're going to start by creating our background. This is the Infinite Triangle Stencil. This stencil can be repositioned to create some really cool patterns. We are not going to create either of those patterns today. We're just going to kind of stack it and create like a rainbow. I'm going to spray some pixie spray to the back of my stencil, let that set for just a minute. And while that's drying, I'm going to add some painter's tape to the back side of an A2 white panel. Then I'll position my stencil onto this panel. The stencil has these little cut lines or little score lines in the stencil that kind of make positioning this panel really easy. Just line it up with those lines. And I'm going to start just by simply ink blending all the triangles in one color. I'm going to do a rainbow, and I'm starting first with the pink, and this is Picked Raspberry Distress ink. I'm obviously using my mini foam blenders. You can definitely use brushes if you prefer. Now that I've ink blended all of my triangles, I'm going to remove my stencil, quickly clean it by placing a towel underneath it, and then with my damp chamois just wipe it all down. Now I'm going to position this stencil a little offset. So that's how it was originally. So now I'm just going to slide it over to the right a little bit, still keep everything nice and straight. But just that little bit of offsetting is going to overlap these colors and kind of create a new color. It's just going to be really pretty to overlap these dye inks together. So I'm now moving on quickly to my next color, which is Barn Door Distress ink. Quickly ink blend those triangles, very easy to do. Now that I finish that, I'll then again remove my stencil, give it a quick clean, and then reposition it and move on to my next color. So I have 6 colors picked out. I've moved on to Spiced Marmalade, which obviously is my orange, and I'm starting to really layer these colors, and I'm really getting a lot of depth here, which I think is really exciting. I'm moving on to my yellow, which is Mustard Seed, and then I will finish up with my final 2 colors, which is Mowed Lawn and Peacock Feathers. So while I finish this up, I just want to point out that I have been moving my stencil or sliding my stencil over only about 1/8 of an inch each time, and I found that allowed me to get 6 triangles in to complete that pattern, and that's why I have 6 colors picked out. Now if at home, if you did it a little bit tighter, you might need to get one more triangle in there, and you can do that simply by adding one more color to your rainbow. So here I ended up or Peacock Feathers. You could just maybe add a purple or a darker blue in. And if you want to kind of make less work for yourself, space your triangles further apart and you have fewer colors, and that will make this a little bit faster. So now that I've finished ink blending all 6 colors, I do need to kind of finish the pattern on the ends. So I'm going to start here on the right side, and I ended with Peacock Feathers, which means my next color is going to be back at the beginning of the rainbow, which is Picked Raspberry. So I line my stencil up with all my already ink blended Picked Raspberry triangles, and then just ink blended a column of triangles one last time on the right side. Now I have several columns to complete on the left side here. I kind of got a bigger gap over this on this side, and since I started with Picked Raspberry, I'm going to go back to the end of my rainbow now, and my next color here is going to be Peacock Feathers. So again, I line that stencil back up with all the peacock feather triangles and then ink blended that column. So now I'm just going to repeat this process till I get all the way to the end of my paper, and that will create this continuous pattern of these beautiful rainbow kind of stacked triangles. I really love how this turned out, and I love how the dye ink layers and you get kind of new colors, like where the Picked Raspberry and the Peacock Feathers overlap. You almost get a purple. So now I'm going to move on to my sentiment. I've already gone ahead and die cut a square using the Nesting Squares die set, and now I'm going to kind of construct my sentiment first with the Bold Alpha die set. I'm going to use the awesome numbers from that set, and I'm going to use a stamp from the New Beginnings stamp set. I'm going to use this Happy New Year stamp. So first thing I'm going to do is position my stamp and my number dies. Now you can see I have a 3 there. That's just to be just serving as a placeholder because I only have 1, 2. So I'm going to cut those out, but that 3 makes sure that I leave enough space there for that 2 die after I die cut these first set of numbers. So I've just used a piece of tape to hold them in place, ran them through my die cutting machine here, and now I'll position that 2 once more. Again, use a piece of tape to kind of hold it in place, and that will complete my year, my 2021. So now that I've ran that through, I've got my die cut portion of my sentiment done. Now I'm going to do the stamped portion. So I am going to do some heat embossing. So I did position my stamp, then applied some anti-static powder. Then I inked it up with Versamark ink, stamped it, and now I'm going to dip it into some gold embossing powder, tap off the excess, and then of course heat set with my heat tool. And I'm pretty much done with this card now. All I have to do is kind of put it together. So I did off camera trim down my white panel, actually even less than 1/8 of an inch, like 1/16 of an inch on all 4 sides. Then I added some liquid glue to the back side, and I'm now adhering it to an A2 top folding black card base turn on its side. I've already gone ahead and added some foam adhesive to the back side of my sentiment. Now I'm just removing the backing, centering it, and sticking that down, and my card is complete. I'll hold it to the cameras and get a good look at all the details in this card. I really love how this background turned out. It almost reminds me of like party decorations, almost like a garland that you would hang up, and I think it works really well for a New Year card. I hope you guys enjoyed today's card and video. If you'd like any more information on the products I use, please head over to Waffle Flower, and you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for more creative ideas. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.